Guys, how are you? Elliot, how are you? How are you? This one's not excited. Okay. So, I'm excited to talk to you guys today. This is kind of new for me to be speaking to a group of kids. And I'll be honest, when Coach Cuddy, or your dad for two of you guys, asked me to speak to you guys, I kind of said, wow, what am I going to talk about with these kids? And you guys really only know me as Sadie's dad, right? And you guys see me at the hockey rink. So I said, let me at least start off by saying, besides Sadie's dad, who else am I? So you guys can maybe learn a little bit about me, and then I'm going to share some stories with you guys from when I was a little boy at 12 years old. But you also know that you may have seen at the hockey rink, I'm the dad with Cassidy and obviously Sadie and Addie. I'm also a police officer. I'm a captain with the state police, and I've been doing it for 20 years in November, for 20 years, and I actually run all of the state police operations for this whole county of Westchester. So that's me in uniform. I'm there looking a little grumpy with my serious face, right? And then also, Mrs. Atkins and I, we have a fitness business where we help people get healthy and fit every single month. And that's actually a picture of me on the stage leading a workout in front of about 8,000 people last year. That's a big stage. It says Beachbody in the back because we're coaches with a fitness company called Beachbody. And then on the bottom, which kind of got me to talking to you guys, is because of inspiring and motivating people in my success as a dad and as a captain, I started doing motivational speaking. And I started in the library in Katona. There was like 10 people there. And then it grew to, I spoke to 50 people and then 100. And then this picture here is, I'm in the New Orleans Saints NFL Superdome, and I'm speaking to 20,000 people right there. And that was last summer. And if you look, these are all little heads right here. And that's me standing on the big stage. And that's me on these gigantic Jumbotron screens. So that's a little bit, besides just being Sadie's dad, I wear a lot of different hats. So your coach gave me the opportunity to speak to you guys and share some of my story, and I'm really excited about it. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is that, I have this motto that I live in my life, and really what I say, and I know Sadie hears me say a lot of these things, that I will never be outworked in anything I do. And what I mean by that is every single aspect of my life, whether I'm a father, whether I'm a state police captain, whether I'm in my fitness, whether I'm speaking to you guys, I always give 110% in my life. It's a motto that I live by, and I take that from when I was a little kid, and I'm gonna share some stories with you guys up until now. Because for me, every single day, I truly feel that every single person that I'm connected to deserves the best version of me every single day. I believe that my wife, Kristen, and my kids deserve the best version of me. I believe that each and every one of you here and the parents here, you deserve the best version of me. So every single day when I wake up, I am giving 110% in all I do. So my question for you guys is, how many of you guys want to win a championship this year? How high? Let's see. I even see Coach Cuddy raising in the back, right? So what I have found with people in championships team, because I won a championship as a kid in the baseball team, I pitched a game, I often see that whether it's kids or it's adults, we often want to win the prize, but we're not willing to put in the work. And who knows what I mean by that? Thomas?
It means like you not try because
Exactly. So I always see, and I see it with kids, and I'm always talking to my kids about it, we want to win the prize, but we don't want to put in the work, right? We want to raise up that trophy, and we want to say, yes, I'm a champion, but we're not willing to do the work that it takes to be a champion, right? We want to be a champion, but we don't understand what it takes to be a champion. And you guys have this motto, right? The whole motto of that, others show up, we arrive. But really, what does that mean? And for me, from when I was 12 years old up until now, I love the process of everything I do, because if you're giving 110% at home with your schoolwork, 110% to respect with your parents, 110%, and what I mean by 110% is giving 100% effort, whether it's at school, on the ice hockey rink, that's a champion mindset. And so often, kids want to be the champions, but are you willing to do the work? Because I have seen with a lot of kids, and I've seen it with some of the hockey teams you play, and we have the team that that said a lot of nasty things to you guys, right? They were saying a lot. What team was that this weekend? You beat them. Right. They said a lot of nasty things, but a lot of people wish for things to be successful, but they're not willing to put in the work, right? A lot of people's efforts lot of people's expectations exceed their efforts. Who knows what expectations means? Elliot.
Expectations means what you think is going to happen.
Right. So often people that want to win a championship, that's their expectation, but it doesn't meet their effort. So who knows what I mean by that? Go ahead, Elliot.
It means that you have expectations, you think what's going to happen, but you don't have the effort and you don't put in the effort to get there.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And so often I see it. I see what happens, kids. Their expectations is, I'm going to win the championship, but you're not putting in the work, maybe on the rink. Maybe you're not doing what coach is telling you what to do. Maybe you're not giving 100%. Maybe you're not hustling and whatever it is with your life. And I see that, and I've seen it when I was a little kid, and I even see it with the people in the state police, and I see it all the time. And life, I'll tell you, life has a funny way of testing you when you said you're going to go out and do something, right? When we say others show up, we arrive, it's really interesting. All of a sudden we say we arrive and you guys get faced with some challenges or adversity, right? You know what adversity means? Challenges or obstacles, right? You have teams that all of a sudden want to beat you guys because life has a funny way of saying, you know what? You said you want this championship, but are you willing to put in the work? And you know what the thing is about a championship team? And really, I want you guys really to picture this for me. Championship teams are not built on what you do when things are going well, right? When things are going well and you're winning, we all like, yes, we won. Things are going great. Coach, it's great. Let's cut the tie. Championship teams are built on what you do when things are going not so well, when things are hard, when you get knocked down, when Coach Cuddy tells you to hustle a little bit more, when you're challenged in life. It's those times when you get knocked down, how you react. Because in life, sometimes we can't control what happens to us, right? Sometimes a team beats us and we're upset, but you know what you can control, guys? How you react. What you do at the next practice. What you do with your schoolwork. Maybe you get in trouble from mom and dad, right? And you did something wrong. You can't control it, but how you react is gonna make the difference. So when I was 12 years old, I loved the game of baseball. Loved it. It was my favorite sport. And I had this goal and dream of getting a batting cage in my backyard when I was 12 years old. Are any of you guys familiar with a batting cage like that? I know Nick, you are. Who else plays baseball? Anybody? Oh, a bunch of hands. So I wanted a batting cage in my backyard, and I went to my mom and dad, and I was 12 years old, and I went up to mom and dad, and I said, Mom, Dad, I want a batting cage in my backyard. And they said, David, if you want a batting cage, it's a lot of money. It's a few $1,000s. And if you want that, you're gonna have to find a way to be willing to save up for that money. So at 12 years old, I wrote this letter to my mom and dad. And in this letter, it says, I, David Atkins, say I can save up for a pitching machine. I believe in myself, signed David Atkins. And that was when I was 12 years old. And what I mean by this, guys, and the very important thing here, and this is something my mom saved. You can see it's kind of ripped. This up here is just it's a little angel, a weight that my mom had because she has it where she looks at it on her dresser. You can see there's some Scotch tape because this is really old. But the big thing, guys, is I believe in myself. Because if you guys want to be a championship team, you have to believe you are a championship team, right? Where to the point you have to think about it and picture you guys. What do you do at the end of every game? What do you do with the sticks? What do you guys do? And then you smash it down. How good would it feel to smash it down winning a championship? Right? How much better would it feel? Pretty good. I see Kieran nodding, right? So you have to literally visualize, maybe before you go to bed, maybe it's in practice. You have to believe in yourself now before you even achieved it. Do you understand what I mean by that? You have to picture yourselves being successful before you even achieve it. So for me, I said, how am I going to save up this money? So what I did as a young boy is I became a newspaper boy. And I know you don't see these today because on phones, I don't have my phone, but today if you want to read the newspaper, you go on your phone, right? Or your iPad. But back when I was a little boy, the newspapers, you guys see newspapers in the deli or bagel store, right? Well, that's the only thing we had. So I got a newspaper route and I started delivering newspapers every single day. And you know what happened? It rained on me and it was cold. And I had snow. And it was late at night, like dark like this. I'd have to ride that newspaper out, but I believed in myself. I wanted this goal, right? I had that vision in my head that I'm going to save up for this pitching machine. And during these times, there were times that I didn't want to do it. There were times that it was snowing and it was cold and I didn't want to do it. And there were times that I had to go every week and knock on the door and collect the money, meaning I had to ask the people that lived there, can I have the $5 for the newspaper? And sometimes they would say no to me, right? But little did I know at 12 years old, and I want to share with you guys is that, you know, life is going to be hard. You becoming a championship team, sometimes it may be cold, or a comparison, sometimes it may be hard, right? Sometimes people say no to you. Maybe it's you make a loss in a game, right? You have a loss. Sometimes life is going to challenge you as a young kid. Maybe it's school and the work is hard. Maybe mom and dad want you to do more chores at home and you're like, this is hard, but I'm here to let you guys know, everything successful in life is uphill. There's no such thing as something coming easy. We only grow when things are hard, okay? That's how you get better. If everything was easy, would we get better?
No.
No. If you only skated 50%, would you get better?
No.
No. So for me to save up for this pitching machine, I had to be willing to do this every single day. And I can tell you, after a full year, I saved up over $3,000, and I saved and I bought this batting cage from my backyard. And you know what kept me going every single day? It was my team. I wanted my kids, I wanted the team to come over to my house to practice baseball. I wanted that championship because you know why, guys? There's something I can tell you that's very powerful. When you want something bigger than yourself, like your teammates next to you, you work twice as hard, right? How good would it feel, not for Kieran to win a championship, but for Kieran to help Elliot win, and Elliot helping Sadie, and Sadie helping Hunter, right? So every single day when I worked and I delivered that newspaper, my vision, right? I'm picturing, I'm gonna do this because I want my team to be there. And you know what happened? We won a championship because it all started with me having belief in myself, just as you guys need to have belief, all right? Another story, a couple years later, I wanted to be an ocean lifeguard. I grew up in Long Island, and anybody familiar with Long Island at all? Yes? So for a couple of years, I was a lifeguard on the Long Island Sound, and that's kind of like, if anybody's familiar with the Long Island Sound, the water's calmer. It's not the ocean, right? It's more like a lake. And I did that for a couple of years, and there was one day I'm sitting at the beach with my grandfather at the ocean. I was not an ocean lifeguard, and it was very rough out. And the waves were crashing, and I'm watching the lifeguards rescue people who were drowning in the water. And my grandfather looked at me, and he said, David, you know what? Those are the real lifeguards. And I'll never forget that when he said that, because at that moment, my grandfather stirred something up inside of me saying, you know what? I want to be better than I am now. I want to achieve something more. I want to be an ocean lifeguard. So these pictures here is just some of the pictures of being an ocean lifeguard and the waves and what we did. And this is them exercising. And right after my grandfather said that, I reached out to the person that was in charge of the safest beach in Long Island. It's called Smiths Point County Park. Nobody's ever drowned there, right? Ever. And I called him up on the phone and I said, sir, you know, I want to be an ocean lifeguard. And he said, David, if you want to be an ocean lifeguard, before you start work at 9 o'clock in the morning, you need to come here at 7 a.m. and you need to work out and exercise with us as lifeguards. So every single morning I would go before work when I was tired, and I would run 3 miles on the beach. And who knows, the sand near the water is much harder than the top. You guys know that, right? Like if you go near the water, you know how it's harder? And then you go to the top and it's thicker. Well, we would run 3 miles in the sand where it was heavier. It was so hard on my legs, right? And then after we'd run 3 miles, we'd come back and we'd have to swim around a buoy that was way out in the water 3 times. And we'd have to run up the beach and run up a huge hill of a dune and come back down and do this big loop 3 times. And then they would start work. But you know what happened, guys? I became stronger. It's kind of like when you're ice skating and you're being pushed, right? And your lungs are burning and you're tired. But I knew for me to get better, you have to do when things are hard, right? So lo and behold, after I trained all these days, it came time for me to take the test. And that day, my biggest fear was that the water was going to be really rough. Has anybody ever seen the ocean when it's really rough? Yeah? Where were you when you see it? Patrick? North Carolina, really rough. Yeah. Ocean City.
Fire Island.
Fire Island. I love Fire Island. Yeah. Cape Cod. St. Lucia. Sage. Cape May. Nick. Cape Cod. Yes. Puerto Rico. Yep. Martha's Vineyard. So you know what it's like to be rough, right? So you can imagine, I'm about to take this test. It's 3.5 hours of swimming, and all I wanted was, please don't let the ocean be rough. And I pull up in the parking lot in my car, and I get out of the car, and all I hear is the wind howling. Can't see the water, but it's howling. And I look, and I come up over on the beach, and the ocean looks like this. And I'm going, you've got to be kidding me. How am I going to handle this? And what they do is you come in, and you sign up for the test, right? And they take black marker, and they write a big number on your shoulder. That's how they know who you are. So I don't remember what my number was, but they wrote the number on my shoulder. And then what they do is they pair you up with somebody. Because the entire test, you're swimming. If you stop swimming at any point, you fail. So at this point, I am much smaller than I am now. I was about 100, maybe 50, not even 140 pounds, right? I was willing to work harder than anybody else. But my biggest fear was what happens if they pair me up with some guy that's very big, because the way it works is that you rescue somebody, well, this person you're paired up with will swim out to a buoy, and then you swim out to him, and then you have to put your arm around him and you have to bring him all the way in on the water. And my biggest fear was, please don't let it be a big guy. And you're gonna laugh because the guy I got paired up looked like this. Right? They paired me up with the biggest person that was there. And immediately, you know what happened, guys? Fear crept in. I was scared, right? I said, there's no way I'm gonna be able to do this. There's no way I'm gonna be able to do this test. The guy was gigantic. So let me tell you what happened. They put us next to each other. There was about 75 people on the beach. The water was very cold. You know what we would do? Anybody have a guess what we would do to stay warm in the water? Yes. Close, but I'm not allowed to wear that for the test.
Oh, I was gonna say wear a dress.
I'm not allowed to wear that, but that would keep me warm. You know what we would do? You know how the beach sand gets hot? This test was very early. The ocean was very cold. When you get wet, we would get on the ground and we would roll in the sand because the sand kept your body heated. So that's what we would do. And frequently for 3.5 hours, I was rolling in the sand. It looked funny, but that's how you stay warm. So the first part of the test is they put me next to this gentleman, and there's about 75 of us lined up, and they blow the whistle, and the first person goes. This was my partner, and this guy looked like, you know, the biggest man in the world, swam out, and as soon as he's about 10 feet away from me, they blow the whistle again, and now I'm basically chasing him, and he has to swim to the buoy that's all the way out. Let's go back. Like all the way out behind the waves out here, and once he gets to the buoy, he turns around, and by that point, I'm right behind him. I have to turn him on his back, right? And then I have to put my arm around his chest, right? And I'll show you exactly, Patrick, stand up. I have to have him like this, right? And then I have to swim like this all the way in, okay? This was the first part of the test. And then when we get to the waves, if you drop them, you're out. So you get to the waves, you have to put the person on your shoulder, they go on your back, and his arms are hanging over, so it's like a piggyback. You have to walk him up the beach and lay him down. And I got through that portion of the test, and I lied the guy down, right? And then immediately, as soon as I laid him down on the beach, they blow the whistle again, and now we change positions. Now I'm the person, he has to rescue me, right? So now I swim out to the buoy, I swim out, and then they blow the whistle, and I turn around, he's there, and he brings me in, and he gets to like this area, and a big wave comes, and he drops me. And then another big wave comes, and he drops me. And then the third wave came, and he dropped me again, and he raised his hand, he said, I quit. So what did I learn on that day? And I'm gonna tell you a little more about this. Yes? Right, doesn't matter how big a person is, but never give up. I love that. Anybody else? No? Tenacity. I love it. Because guys, this is the thing. Fear, I have fear. But fear, you can't point fear out. I can't say, look, there's fear. When you go out on the ice and you see kids that are bigger than you, right? Like we know the Mugglers on the Bears, right? How big are they, right? They're huge. And you get on the ice, these big kids. You can't be fearful because you don't know how they're thinking. In a championship team, like I told you guys, I will just work harder than everybody else. If you're willing to work harder than everybody else, you will win. Because this day, out of 75 people, 8 passed, and I was one of about 8. One of 8 that passed the test that day. And then I was an ocean lifeguard for many years after that, and I saved a lot of people's lives. But the thing that I learned in that, if I let the fear take over, because we have fear, if I wasn't willing to work hard, if I wasn't willing to get up early in the morning after my homework was done and do what my parents told me and go and train in the morning before I went to work, I wouldn't have passed that test. So the thing I want you guys to really think about with here is, when you want to win that championship, are we willing to put in the work that it takes to win the championship, right? Are we willing to push ourselves a little bit harder to win the championship? So this next quote, as I finish up, I love this quote. Hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle. Who knows what they think that means? Anybody? Kieran.
It means that hustling's better than talent when talent is I don't know.
Go ahead, Elliot, go ahead. You're close, you're right, you are right. Elliot.
All right. So
Say
what
you
it's
don't-
trying to say is hustle is the willing to keep moving and pushing hard. And if you push hard, you can beat any person that has talent. If you don't have talent and the person that does have talent and they aren't hustling, then if you have your hustle and you push as hard as you can, then you can beat anybody.
Exactly. Guys, I'm here to tell you something right now. I will take any kid or any one of you that's willing to work harder than somebody that's talented. I don't care in life, and I tell Sadie, as being the only girl, it doesn't matter that people may be better skaters than you. It doesn't matter if somebody's a better stick handler than you. It doesn't matter if kids are better hockey players than you. If you're willing to outwork them, and I like to use the word grind, and you're willing to push harder, you're going to beat them every single day, and that's in all aspects of life. Because in my lifeguard story, I was one of the smallest ones, but in my head, I said, I will just beat you with hustle. And I'm gonna tell you something, and I'm gonna be very honest. I watch the practices that you guys do. The last practice, I watched Coach Cuddy, the drill when you start on the goal line. Who remembers that we sprint to the cone and we sprint back and then we went back? Who remembers that drill you guys just did? So let me ask you something. A championship team, this is the way you guys should be doing it. I watch you guys take off like a jet just the other night, and you get to the cone, and on your way back, before you're going to finish, you are about, when I say this is the line, you guys are about here, and I watch probably 80% of you slow up before you're done. And I can tell you right now, champions don't slow up until you're done. And that definition there means you give 110% from the line, from the beginning to the end. You finish like a jet. Just like in all aspects of life. Maybe you didn't know how to jump rope. This summer you had to learn certain things. And Sadie did struggle with it. And I told her, Sadie, the one thing you have to realize is when you come home from school, you control how often you go in the basement to do jump rope. You control how hard you're going to run. Just like each and every one of you on the ice and what you do in practice now, you control that. Nobody else does. And I can tell you right now, you guys will win a championship this year if you're willing to outwork everybody else and hustle automatically. And the bigger thing is, what are you doing when coach isn't watching you? When Coach Cuddy's on the other end of the ice, are you fooling around or are you giving 100%? When Coach Cuddy's not looking and you're doing drills, are you fooling around or are you willing to push yourselves? Are we lifting each other up? Because others show up, we arrive. There's a lot of power in that. We arrive means not I arrive, we arrive as a team, and we do it from the beginning to the end, as soon as you hit that ice. And I'm going to watch, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to keep watching practice to see, is the championship mine there? You guys are wishing, are you willing to put in the work? And I'm going to finish with this last little thing from a movie. Elliot, if you got to go, you can go. Go.
Thank you.
You did
Thank
great.
you so much.
This last little thing, there's this movie called Planet of the Apes. You may have never seen it, okay? And Caesar is like the king, and he has all these army men out in the distance, and they're not paying attention, and they're wild, and they're not listening to Caesar, who's like the head, the king of the army, right? And to get his attention, he picks up one piece of straw, like, hey, one silly piece of straw, and he takes it and he breaks it. And then he takes up two handfuls of straws, right? And he holds it together and he braces it. He tries to break it, it doesn't work. And what he's saying is, alone, psh, weak. And then he says, together, with two handfuls, unstoppable, can change the world. I'm telling all of you guys, you are stronger together as a team. And nobody can break you from winning a championship this year. if you're willing to put in the work for each other and willing to give 100% from beginning to end, and you're willing to live the way I lived my life of being willing to outwork everybody else and say my teammates need me, my parents need me, I'm going to give 100% in school, 100% on coach on the ice. I'm going to realize that we're stronger together as a team, because that's saying others show up, we... No, come on. Others show up, we... Others show up, we... That's how you're going to win. We arrive. It doesn't say I arrive, right? You have to say, there's a saying in my head, I always say, I can, I will, I must. That's very powerful to me. And for you guys, it's I can win a championship. I can give 110%. I can put forth the effort. I must do this. I must do this for my parents. I must work hard in school. I must work hard on the ice, right? I can, I will, and then I must do this. So if you guys are willing to be stronger together and give 110%, I'm letting you know you guys will win a championship this year. But I want to see 100% effort from beginning to end. And I know you can do it because you have one of the best coaches and coaching staff out there, right? All right, guys, so I want to see you guys crush it in practice. Thank you to Mr. McMahon. Say thank you for letting us use his area. And guys, let's win a championship this year and give 110%. All right? Thank you, guys. 5.